See the fiends gonna admire the dude with the fire, but the gangsters gonna respect the one taking that check. And will come for the neck of those who disrespect. I experience gun showers, burned by gunpowder. Tears always jerk from the work of a lone coward. You know the feces in the game when that coward command power. And never go so hard that you really disgrace God. And never let a cat play around with your face card. And never go so hard that you really disgrace God. And never let a cat play around with
Hey yo, 31.
Top of the game, salute, and all that good stuff, man. Yeah, it's your boy, man. I'm back, man. Actually, I supposed to been back. I had a lot of things going on or whatever. Of course, I left the country for a minute. You know what I mean? You know, it's a little sunshine and activity and stuff like that. By the way, my funds got a little tight on that boat, man. So shout out to Harlem Legend for the rebound. Yeah, Harlem took the rebound, man. For whatever reason, my funds wasn't clear in my account or whatever case it may be, and you know, Harlem sent your boy a couple dollars. Shout out, my guy. I mean, I got you on the rebound. Today, this live is entitled, well, upload, but live, however you want to size up. You know how CK do, man. I always get shit twisted, man. By the end of the day, you get the message, you get the jewel. It's entitled Frenemies. So before he talking about, no, I'm not talking about nobody in particular. I'm talking about all around the world, man. You know, you ever heard people use, coin the phrase, idols become rivals and stuff like that? Well, people sit around you, man. They idolize you. They shoot you praises until they realize that they just don't amount or just don't add up to who you are as an individual, right? I show you a good example, right? We seen Rock Nation, they had the whole world throwing a rock and all that, and shit was lit. The whole time you got Hove, you got Chris and Eve, Beanie Siegel, Bleak, and the movement what it was, right? But then for the smaller situation, you see Hove and Beans not on the same accord no more. Him and Dame Dash definitely not on the same accord. For whatever reasons, I don't know their business, so I'm not getting into Rock Nation politics, right? Then you got 50 Cent, Lloyd Banks, how certain things take place, and then, they banging on each other, they going at each other. Shots being thrown, right? Those are frenemies, those are potential enemies. Friends that, have the potential to become your worst enemy. Why? Because they know a lot about you, or what appears to be about you. And I think at, different times, there's as, me being the elder now and the OG, I need to pinpoint this. Why? Because the other dude's not going to do it. Why? Because they still use the manipulation in the games to try to fool the youth into believing that, they the real deal, the real McCoy, right? One of the youngins, because, despite our differences, I always big up, my counterparts. I try to, not shed a nasty tone or, just cast a shadow over who they are. The people, they're good people, generally, right? But one of my young boys asked me, man, I said, yo, CK, let me ask you a question, right? Everybody always talk about, Mac and this and that and what took place in, in your time period. They also talk about all the big homies. But let's say you didn't start GKB, you didn't make Robo who he was, Sinks and Soul B or Pimp or Quell, this ain't me doing that. This is just what the little homie asked me. So don't start getting your panties in a bunch. Even though I'm still me though. Like if I feel something, I got something to say, I'm gonna say it. This is not my word. This is a question he asked, right? If you never gave dudes old 20 spots, do you think Mac would have recognized them? And I said, whoa. That's a good question. But me being me, I let the conversation go further than that. I said, I don't know, man. History is what it is, man. And Whatever's meant to be shall be. You know, just in a nutshell. But it was a good question, and it made me think and wonder, like, damn, I wonder if, these individuals look at it that way. Because there's truth to that matter. Up until we formulated GKB, I never heard none of our names mentioned, even though we was the ones putting the work in. From 7 Block, you had me, Killer Cav, Shabazz, Quell, putting on. On down to 2 Block. As soon as we got to 2 Block, we wasn't even there a week. Movie time. By the way, shout out to my guy Troy, man. My condolences to your brother Tata and all that. But shout out to Troy. Troy was in the building back in that moment. Rest in peace to Brave Dave, David Pryor, drama. But it was a good question, man, because back then I never really heard a Brooklyn or Queens cat get shouted out, even though we were the ones putting on. Robert Tucker. You had Nut, and a few other dudes that people don't mention no more. Not Nut, old man, Nut, skinny Nut, young boy. I mean, probably in his 40s right now. Dudes wasn't mentioning dudes back then. Shout out to Shabazz, Patrick Smalls and all that, my man. Patrick, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, so just sitting here looking over the course of time, a lot of people began to bicker, beef, and first of all, black people with a bag, the foolishness. You get money and then you decide to go for bad. Now you want to be tough. To the point where you start undermining the people that put you in position to get that bag. A lot of people, nah, that's my brother, so on and so forth, but then they still throw daggers. A good example. Look at the Cam and May situation. They was real enough to bring it back together, Now you have, the Jim Jones Cameron situation. They throwing daggers, they beefing, a lot of things are said online or whatever case may be. Just being 100, I always been a Cameron fan. I said it before and videos before this. Losing Weight is my all-time favorite Cameron song, him and Prodigy. Caught in the Milk. I know Jimmy got a large catalog, but Caught in the Milk happens to be my all-time favorite with Jim Jones. Shit, I just caught my Range Rover. You couldn't tell me nothing about nothing but Caught in the Milk all day. Pull up in my range. That and my New York shit, Busta Rhymes. Those are the number 2 songs you heard when I was pulling up. And then when he said, in my Range Rover, that's my New York whip. You know what I mean? So I've been following these guys for a long time, man. And it's a common thing these days, man, to see how people come in the game together, get money, and then fall out. Sometimes it's because of middleman who probably see, a future in breaking them up so that he probably can, steal one of them or take one of them off the team. Other times it's just ego, man. And that's what we seeing here today, even on a lower level. Because we lower level guys compared to the racket. They done made 30, 40 million, and, they don't have no excuse for their rhetoric, their nonsense. Us, on the other hand, we still on the ground floor, man. No matter how nice and shiny we may look, we still on the ground floor. But a lot of time, people will, intentionally demolish you, even to the point where they might kill you, just over clout, over fame. And this is my definition of my true theory of frenemies. What causes it? You got guys that may have came off the porch late. You got people that sat around for years and, especially during the bully period when dudes is on, on that mob deep, we mobbing and we doing things and never killed the fly. Get a little bit of paper and their whole image change. Now the Scarfaces and the Nino Brown and the Nino Browns are giving birth to. You understand what I'm saying? So now, a person that used to look up to you either feel that they're equal or feel that they're a greater force and power, and so they become an enemy. Still claiming, to be your friend. You know? So I just felt like it was something I wanted to talk about today before I get into, other issues and topics that's on the table. But yeah, that's definitely one of the things I wanted to talk about, man. Like, you younger cats out there gotta understand, if you come for the mud with a person, man, always remember the mud. Don't wait till, everything gets shiny and turn into concrete and forget about the mud. The mud is your beginnings. The mud is where you came from. I always said when I reminisce on how we grew up, I remember the times when we used to knock on people's doors. Hey, Miss Williams, my mother said you got a cup of sugar or, a cup of rice. Because, yeah, a cup of rice used to feed the family back in the days. And then all those people, if you ever go to Woodruff Days, the Flappers Reunion, all our birthday parties, you seeing 5, 6, sometimes 700 people in the building. You know why? Because we just stayed pure with it. People was not messed up like they used to be. People own establishments. I know a few people that own a chain of Dunkin' Donuts and, a chain of laundromats, but they still come out to the party, man. Humble and respectful, and we share. We take a whole bunch of pictures. We enjoy each other's presence. Nobody's standing around with the animosity. Nah, bro. We come around, we break bread. Like the last party I went to, because of the situation with me rushing, I left all the alcohol in the vehicle, in the car. Right? And, my man Oric, and his wife, Nikisa Williams, they bought a jug of Tito's, Girl Sean, these are all the people off my block. Girl Sean, Cousin Wani, they bought wine and stuff like that or whatever. My brother, my crimey Poochie, he bought alcohol. So I was going between my table and his table drinking. And I never heard back from that. Like, yo, CK came to the party, he didn't even have no bottles. Nah, people put bottles on my table. The other people came in and started putting Ciroc and more Tito's and Don Julio on my table. So after the situation, I got more liquor in the trunk of the car. And this is the first time I ever hopped out the car and took an Uber from the hotel or the Airbnb I was staying in to go to the party. And this is how the whole mix-up with the baggage, and I left the alcohol. But the point I'm making of that is this. In my generation, all the people I grew up with, they don't see the world how y'all see it. We don't see each other how y'all see each other. When we see each other, it's like, hey, that's the bro. Also, I want to take this moment, to send my condolences to the family of Stacey Taylor. That was big sis. As we know, she was like the big sister / mother of the block. She kept us together. Sometimes we get on the block and shoot the fire, be fighting or whatever. And shit, what y'all fighting for? And break it up. She was actually my neighbor for a long period of time, and it was time my mom to be at work and we hungry. She'll come over and cook for us, or we go over to her house to eat. So yeah, Stacy, I forever love you, you big sis, and if there's a heaven, I hope you up there, amongst the angels, man. I love you. Yeah, but back to the topic at hand, y'all. Like, this is for the youth. This is not for the older guys. Your time expired. You know what I mean? No disrespect, but fuck you niggas. I say fuck them kids. Fuck you niggas. You know what I mean? You younger guys you don't gotta embrace everybody, but the guys you grew up with, your friends, that's your first entourage. It's the guys that you grew up with. I don't care if y'all rode bikes together, y'all shared lunch in school. I may have came to school without a couple of dollars, but you shared half of your hero sandwich with me. Those are the guys that you hold on to. Those are not your frenemies. The frenemies are the guys who come through later on in life, and even though he's from your block, he may not have the history or the past that you have with your childhood friends. Those are your frenemies. Those are the guys that could develop hate or animosity over the course of time because you may have something they don't have. A particular girl might like you and don't like him, and so he may, animosity may begin to breed amongst that. So y'all gotta understand, man, that a frenemy is a serious foe, man. Cause they're amongst you, you don't see it coming until it's too late. You understand what I'm saying? And so that's my message to the youth today, man. Those real friends you have, let them remain real friends through good and bad times. Don't get up and forget your friends. All right? A friend is a person that's there up or down. When you're in your lowest point, your worst moment, that's when the friend is going to show his hand. He's going to come through, and when you least suspect it, help you pay that car note. When you least suspect it, help you pay that lawyer fee, or just something simple as making sure you have the finances to feed your children until you get back to work. That's a true friend, man. All right. Now, next on my topic is Cameron and Jim Jones. I'm a diehard Cameron fan, but I'm also a Jim Jones fan. And being totally 10K with it, you my dude, Cam, but Capo will smoke you, kid. Capo will smoke the fuck out of you. He got too many records, man. He got too many records. Cam got a lot of records too, but Jim Jones got too many consecutive records. Like I said, Caught in the Milk is my personal favorite. I seen the dude the other day playing the different Jim Jones, the Cameron joints. He didn't even touch the surface. He didn't play Weatherman. He didn't play Caught in the Milk. He didn't play the joint. I don't remember the title, but the joint with him and Quavo. Like, Jimmy got some hits out there, so don't get cocky, Cam, and think that, Capo ain't got that heat for you, man. He got that heat for you, man. On the other end, Cam got some sneaky joints. You know what I mean? Now, I don't know if they're going to do the songs, that Cam wrote for other people. Maybe so, maybe not. But that don't count. I'm just talking about the records, man. From A-Rap Money, Pop Champagne, Ballin'. What's that record called? East Side. We got the West Coast beat. Something like it was like a rendition or a remake of the Eazy-E joint. Like, Jimmy got some joints out there, man. And again, Cam, I still rock with you. But I don't think you're seeing Capo, man. Honestly, I don't think a few people out there, I don't think Mace can see Jim Jones in the verses. Because Mace never furthered his career. I can't see Mano surviving a versus with Jim Jones. He not really on Fab level, but I think he can hang in there with Fab a little bit or whatever. Dave East still making his bones. He ain't really there yet. I can't see Votto going record for record with Jim Jones. Who else is there out there? Like, I don't really see a lot of people, seeing Capo, man. He get on my nerves sometimes. Yeah, Jimmy, you get on my damn nerves sometimes. Because sometimes you just say the most outlandish shit. But don't get it twisted, though. CK still supports you. I still rock with you. If you say something I like, I might, get up here and say some things. I don't make it a habit. Because I don't, you got a whole lot of helicopter and propeller people that if I say something, may hop on the bandwagon. That's not my purpose. My purpose, if you say something online, you see even with Mandu said something to you I ain't like, I said something about it, right? At the end of the day, we all are brothers keepers. We got to hold each other down, and so, love me or hate me. I'm gonna say what I feel. If I don't like something, I'm gonna speak on it, all right? So, but on this one right here, I'm just keeping it real. A lot of people say, yeah, we need that, this, that, and Cam. I seen the whole chat, everybody pro Cameron. And I'm sitting back like, yo, is y'all dumb? Are y'all dumb? Like, you don't know Jim Jones' catalog? I don't think you was on the Nas level though. Don't get it twisted. I don't think you stand a chance with any Nas song. But when it comes to the rest of the rappers, I got you up there. I got you on top of most of those guys. On the majority of those guys, I got you on top of all that. Even though I really haven't seen guys doing verses with females, but I got Remy Ma, all of them. I could even see you winning the verses against Fat Joe. And that ain't a shot at Fat Joe. We squashed that issue and we buried the bone on that. But yeah, I can't see Fat Joe beating you in the verses, Capo. You know, but it's how you go about it though. Cause you're gonna beat Cameron. Don't beat Cameron and get cocky and start calling out icons and legends. Don't pull a Max B. And Max B is the wackest shit I've heard. He did the rap. Alright? And that got to do with his personal situation, cases, all I'm talking about. As an artist, I don't see what people see with the waivers and that. I just see a dummy being carried by French Montana. That's what I see. I mean, when it came to the Coke Boys, I just seen Chinks Jugs and Frenchie. And that's where it ends for me. You know what I mean? Just being 100 with it. All right? So all you people out there want to know who's what, this and that, put your money on Jim Jones. Cam can't see him. And we know Mace taught him how to rap and, you know, Cam put them on. But the truth to the matter is, when it comes to records, Cam is a better rapper. But when it comes to records, Jimmy know how to make a record. You know what I mean? Just being 100 with it, man. All right? That's CK opinion on it. A lot of people in my DM, what you think this and that? So I voice my opinion on it. It's going to be a good versus, but it's going to be a landslide. I mean, I got my money on Jim Jones. Whoever want to bet, you know my line, hit me. All right? Don't give me a $50 bet. Don't give me a $100 bet. I'm going to need a $1,000 bet and better. 1,500, 2 racks. For you big ballers out there, man, my money a little tight these days. I got about 10K on Capo, though. Holla at your boy, get in touch with him. You heard? Salute. 212 with CK Corey King. Y'all know my slogan. Grocery sell more than dope. Get in touch with him.